pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. And like I say, the good parts, I like doing the good parts that I get to get involved in. And one of those things is swearing in of firefighters. We have 2 firefighters here, Connor Duffy and Justin Rolino. Okay, I didn't want to pronounce it the wrong way. So we're going to have the town clerk who's here do the swearing in, and then we're going to have some pictures and some photo ops, and congratulations, you guys, and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So it's good you guys come down. Is that Telly?
Go ahead.
Come on up front.
Right up there.
Which way do we face?
Her.
Yeah, you gotta face her, 'cause you gotta repeat after her.
Oh,
Okay.
actually, Annie, if you go the other way, then the camera can get you.
Ah, okay.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
All right.
They'll get the other one. I forgot they're all over the place
Okay,
now.
so raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Connor Duffy,
I, Justin Rolino,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do
solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that faithfully and impartially
perform all my duties
perform all my duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as firefighter for the town of West Bridgewater
as firefighter for the town of West Bridgewater,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States of America
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States of America
and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
and the town of West Bridgewater,
and the town of West Bridgewater,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Great, congratulations.
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 Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Some pictures with the chief,
We do one group picture,
and the deputy.
2-minute recess.
Second.
Move second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we are meeting of October 21st back into session. We have with us Wayne Sampson and a presentation from the Police Chief Assessment Center Award, and award of a contract. So, Chief Clark, you want to start out with a little explanation?
I will.
Please?
As the board is aware, I plan on retiring next summer. That'll open up the position of police chief. As we did on the last promotion with lieutenant, we used an outside vendor to do what they call an assessment center. They come in, they do a series of exercises, and I'll let Mr. Sampson speak a little bit more to that, but they come in, it's geared towards our individual department. They come in, do the exercises. The individuals that take this assessment center are graded. Goes back to civil service, who rank the individuals. Civil service creates the list, and when the board goes to promote the police chief, they have an active list in place. And we have used this vendor before.
Okay, you have before?
We have,
Right.
and they did a great job with the lieutenant's
Okay,
assessment.
all right, thank you, Chief. So, Mr. Sampson, would you like to move forward with?
Sure.
Yes, you-
My name is Wayne Sampson. I'm with Public Safety Consultants out of Shrewsbury, Mass. I have 44 years of experience in law enforcement in Massachusetts. We have worked in over 75 Massachusetts communities. We are approved by civil service to conduct, this is an actual civil service examination. It's an alternative type of examination, but it is one that's being used for the last 20 years here in Massachusetts. In view of the current changes in civil service in the communities, this is becoming a lot more prevalent. Many communities are using it. Originally, they only used it for the higher ranks, but now they're actually using it right down to the rank of sergeant on a regular basis. What we do is we come in, we do a job task analysis specific to your community, and we design testing exercises specific to your community. And we use the skills, knowledge, and abilities that meet the requirements of the individual exercises and apply it to your town. We are approved by civil service. We can come in at a date that's agreeable with you. We turn it right around. We work very closely. Everything that we do is approved by civil service. We send them the scores, they verify it. So instead of waiting 6 months, you're gonna have them back in 30 to 45 days. Quick
So how long-
overview.
So how long does the process overall take then?
It takes, we could do it in as short as maybe 6 weeks if the town has the approval from civil service. We have to follow their exact process. In other words, you get a delegation agreement from civil service, you select a vendor. Even though we're on their approved list and they give our name out, you still have to send a request to get our approval. It just takes a little bit of time. But we turn that right around. We can do it fairly quick after that. We actually hold an orientation session with the candidates. You have to file the notice, you have to post it, give the candidates an opportunity to sign up. After that date, then we can hold the orientation, because we have to hold it for the candidates that are actually taking it. And then we can do it a couple weeks after that.
And is this gonna be an in-house evaluation?
Yes.
Okay.
You mean in-house candidates?
Yeah, right,
Yes, sir.
that's what.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a good question. So the decision to just go internally is something that the chief makes, or is that?
Is that what I
Yeah,
believe
it is.
that's what we requested?
Yeah, we approved that process a handful of months ago.
Okay, so.
That was on the agenda.
That's correct. The board approved that a
That was
handful of months
approved
ago.
by the board, I know.
We've already received a delegation agreement from civil service. Now we're at the process that we have to actually approve a vendor. I've already vetted the
Right,
vendor.
So we've already gone through that.
That's correct.
Out of the process,
Yep.
okay. All right, yeah, okay, I guess I remember that. Not really, but. So, so from the time that you get started with this, could be 6 weeks to a couple months maybe?
I can do it at your timetable, at the town's timetable. We have the flexibility and the staff to do it in a shorter time or the appropriate time for you.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No, that's the only question I had.
Do you personally see a benefit to doing it this far out, opposed to a little bit closer to a retirement date, or,
Well, what it allows you to do, it allows the community to make a transition plan at every rank, because it's not just one promotion. You're assuming that you're gonna take one of your existing supervisors, and then you have to determine
Okay.
what process you wanna use for them.
Yep.
So it really is good. It lets the whole department know.
that's a
what's
great
coming.
idea, I didn't think of that, so that's.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I have none.
I have no other questions.
All right, so we need to vote on to award the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Move second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, thanks for coming down here. Okay, so moving on the agenda, warrants, Board of Selectmen business, approved minutes of September 23rd, 2015.
So moved.
Meeting.
Second?
Move second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Except for, entertain a motion to accept for review minutes of the October 7th, 2015 Board of Selectmen meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Move second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, vote on special town meeting warrants. So move to that, let's see. Pass these things.
that's the, if I can see that, I think that's the
That's
front
the-
page. It's a financial
Yeah, right,
analysis,
the-
yeah,
yeah,
and then
the
right after that's the warrant.
Yep.
So I was just gonna
Got it.
explain that, you'll see that on page 16 is where the warrants actually start.
Yep.
But what I would ask the board to keep in mind is that on page 15, I am recommending to the board that we pay cash for any of the items that we would actually have for cash transaction that would come out of our free cash. So on page 15, you will see that our free cash has been certified at just less than 1.2 million. Assuming approval of all articles, then we would spend about $260,000 of that, which means that we would still have over $900,000 to spend for any capital budget items, transfer to stabilization, offset the the school debt as we did last year, and the like, at future town meetings for this fiscal year.
Okay, so now, the question that I had, though, the finance committee, where do they stand with the warrants?
The finance committee has already met, and the
Yeah.
finance committee has already I guess we've endorsed all of them. There was,
Recommended?
yeah, I mean, they were all approved at the finance committee at this
Yeah,
point.
So they've already gone through that process with the FinCon?
Yeah, except for the one on the one that's out on the historical.
All
Yeah,
the
that
money
one- That one was just voted, referred to voters.
Because it,
There's no financial,
no
Right.
financial impact. There's
Yes.
plenty of opinions,
right.
but no financial impact.
Yeah, historically, on bylaws, the finance committee doesn't actually take a
Yeah,
vote.
right.
So on that one there, they did a refer to
But
voters.
the other ones were recommended by the finance committee?
That is
I
correct.
was curious. Okay. All right, great. All right, so we have the analysis here of the appropriation and where that money is gonna come from based on the articles that are in the special town meeting warrant. So we've already gone through these and assigned people that will present them. But what we need to do this evening is vote on recommendations. So what I'd like to do is we'll just take them article by article, and I'll entertain a motion to vote to recommend.
I'd like to recommend that we refer to Article 1 to the voters.
All right, there's a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All right, so I have a discussion piece on that. So refer to the voters. To me, a referral to the voters is just a non-decision,
Well,
one way or the other.
the way I look at it, there's an awful lot of, people that are involved with this and come up to me, and there's still a lot of questions that I would certainly like to see answered. I know the committee was asked for a opt-out clause in it, and this was voted down by the committee. I would just like to hear the thing in its entirety before I, put a vote to it myself, and that's the reason why. Usually, I'm there, to recommend one way or another. But I think on this here, and it's quite a territory over there, and I think and I went to the meeting they had, the hearing. There was an awful lot of questions asked over there, and kind of uncertainty from a lot of the people who were over there. So that's why I made a reason to refer this thing to the voters.
But, technically, referral to the voters is really like a non-committal type of action, I guess, so. But the outcome is really gonna be decided by the voters anyway. So if we were to recommend it or not recommend it, it would be a vote of town meeting that would put it through or not put it through. So, in effect, everything that we do, even if we recommend it, is gonna be referred to the voters, because those are the people that are gonna vote on it, one way or the other, so.
Well, to add to Eldon's thoughts, I think one thing that's unique about this that we don't really address all that often, this affects a limited amount of people in a select area of town. It doesn't affect everybody. You applaud the group coming forward for trying to do something to preserve the town. We all know anytime a shovel goes in the ground to build something new or tear something down, we get read the riot act that we don't do anything to preserve the town, and here is a group doing something
Right.
If, you know, you agree with it or don't agree with it, and that's one thing I'd like to emphasize, there's a lot of angry, people there on both sides. And I think one thing to be understood is that, didn't come from this board, it came from a group of residents. I love when people say anything, that the town's trying to force this down our throat. It's not the town, in a town, it's nothing but the people that make the decisions. And that's why we have town meeting and we have town elections, and the bylaws and regulations are all voted on by the people. It's too bad that this couldn't just go to a vote to those people that live in the area and make the decision for their own neighborhood.
How it works.
Unfortunately, you're right, it's not how it works. It is a tough article. I support the steps to try to implement some preservation of the nature of our town, which is what we hear over and over and over again. But again, it's a lot of people will make a decision for a few that they have to live by.
I'm still, you know, I like the concept of, you know, saving the historical sites there because, you know, but then again, there's an awful lot attached to this, you know? And there's pros and cons on this, so.
Right, and in the end, the voters will decide.
Yeah, we decide on all the articles.
Whether we recommend it or not, they still will be deciding, so I guess it's a way to really not commit one way or the other, to refer it to the voters as saying, we'll let you decide, we're not gonna recommend one way or the other. Well, there was a motion, you know, we'll vote on it, but my feeling is, that I support it, because it's really, I think it's a way for us to preserve our rural community, and I feel strongly that we need to do that. We need to do whatever we can to preserve our rural community. Because it can very quickly become something that is not rural and not part of our character, so. That's just my personal opinion. There is a motion and a second.
Should I make a comment? Am I allowed to?
Sure, yeah, you can make a comment.
Because I'm still, the reason I came here is that I'm still trying to figure this thing out. Because I had the opportunity to have it presented to us at FinCom.
Right.
And as we keep saying, well, there's restrictions. And Steve Hobbs would say, no, there's no restrictions. But it's right there in the document, there's restrictions. And when someone's looking at it and saying, oh, there's no restrictions, and there are, and there's the ability to add more once this committee's formed, you know, my antennas go up, you know, and so I stop and I say, okay, well, if I was living in that community, how would I feel? And if I didn't want it, how would I feel? I bought a property. Now, all of a sudden, the rules in which I bought that property under are all of a sudden just being changed on me. I've only been able to talk with two people, and both of them are in that situation where one, you know, Wade Smith bought a commercial property, and now all of a sudden he could be in a position where he's not gonna be able to do anything, you know, without somebody else's permission to his land. Cheryl Adams, she's got a home with 3 acres behind her, that, you know, she likes the idea of the preservation, but also someday financially, she may be in a position where she wants to sell it and tear down the home and have a value there. That changes all of that, and it's that somebody else has control over them. So if this was designated a historical area, what is so unique about this area that wouldn't make the entire town a historical area?
Well, there's certain parts of the town that probably, in what you said in the beginning, if I could back up for a minute there. This isn't to establish the committee, the Historical District Commission has already been established.
Right, this is for
And
to
yes,
say
there
that
are-
property is a historical district, which I used to live over
Because of
there,
the-
and quite frankly, I mean, you know, there was references to Duxbury, and the Pilgrims were in Duxbury. I mean,
Yeah,
what is so historical about this property that we need to start taking control of somebody else's property?
it's the
I
age
just,
of the.
I understand preserving,
some of
I'm in
the-
full agreement on that, but is this the way? You know, I just,
Well, you-
and I'm,
Well, this is the way other communities have established historical commissions, I mean, commercial, historical districts. So, you know, this isn't like a new thing that
Oh, no,
just West Bridgewater
I
has
get it.
become involved in, but, you know, there are certain, there was a presentation by the Historical Commission to the Board of Selectmen, and I don't know the details off the top of my head, but they did go through the historical nature of that district, so I don't remember the details. I can't speak to them, I don't remember off the top of my head, but there was a presentation to the Board of Selectmen on that, so, yeah, maybe that could answer some of your questions.
You know, I guess it's because I wasn't getting straight answers. It's being done by a group of residents within that community who had other issues there. And when you ask them what the purpose is, you're just not getting the straight answer. If somebody was sitting here telling me, hey, this down on River Street, I mean, this is just a beautiful historical property, I get it.
Well, Steve, from day one, I think the district, I believe there's historic significance in that area, just like you said there is in the whole town. To me, the historic district that does need to exist is Town Hall, the church, Howard Street, River Street, Summer South Street, the town park, the center of town, the war monument. This should be the town, the district. And in doing so, we hold ourselves accountable, just like we do the residents when you have your own building in the area. Yeah, one thing, again, I don't want to sound like I'm flip-flopping because I'm very torn on this. People are already regulated and restricted on what they can do with their property. There are zoning laws and bylaws and health codes that tell you what you can do in your property. A lot of people are saying, I don't want anyone telling me what to do on my property. Well, you already are governed
But those-
extensively.
But those pretty
already.
much have been there for a long time.
No, I agree, but-
People knew them when they bought their property. This is something that can really,
I mean, if you lived in a historic district, you never would have been able to tear down your mother-in-law's house and build your
The thing is
house.
this though, so,
but again, I'm still trying to figure this out.
Right.
right,
Well-
and I'm hoping that, you know, so we're not gonna really debate it there one way or another, because we're not really the group that's gonna make that decision. The townspeople are the people that are gonna make that decision, so.
Well, another one,
I would offer to you that, you know, if you looked at the tapes maybe of the Board of Selectmen meeting where that was presented, or you reach out to somebody in the Historical Commission, or even maybe tomorrow night, they can give you some of the answers to your questions. But we're not gonna debate whether it gets approved or not here, we're not the governing body for that, it's the town.
But also just for clarification, it wasn't even brought to us by the Historic Commission, our locally appointed group.
Right.
Enough for you, I know you know, Steve, but just for the public, this was a group of residents that came to us. They asked to be put on a committee to research it. So all that exists right now is the research committee. They did the research, presented the bylaw, and asked us to put it on the warrant, which anybody in town has the right to put any bylaw request on the warrant to be approved by the town. And every bylaw that exists in town has at some point been approved by the voters. I'm not talking just to you, I'm
So
talking
you
in
don't have to
general.
You don't have to get any signatures or anything like that to come to you.
That's
and
one
say
way
that
it could be
you
done.
support.
It could just be done on, just voluntarily put on, or you can do it forcefully by a petition.
Okay, so that would, if you didn't put it on, they would have to go get signatures, but.
I think it's like 16 signatures, or maybe 100. It all depends if it's a special town meeting or annual, it's two different numbers, but it's not a lot, and, you know, anyone could get, you know,
Okay. Well, no, and thank you for allowing me to ask the questions, because
And
I'm
the Crowley-
learning here, so.
property just on 106, it's really business zoned there, and that puts a limitation of what they can do with it now, what they can sell it. Well, it's an old house, I remember that, and it probably belongs in the registry. But now they're limited to do what they want as far as to sell it, and it has to go through the historical
And quite
commission, you
frankly,
know?
I mean, as an old house, I owned an old house in town, one of the very old houses in town. We would have loved to have restored it, but it was so far gone. But if we had to go to somebody and get their blessing, I don't know whatever would have been done. You know, we probably would have had to spend more to restore that house than we did to build a new house, and quite frankly, for what benefit? You know, I mean, there's old houses, and then there's old houses of significance.
So it's just like what I did up in the corner of Grant Street there, now it's $1 million worth of property up there.
Right, and if that
Okay,
was
so
in a
the-
historical district, never would have been able to do it.
Thank you for your comments.
Well,
And
thank you.
hopefully your answers will be, your questions, you know, will be answered tomorrow night, and the voters will decide whether it's what we wanna do or not. It's up to the voters anyway. Ultimately, all of this is up to the voters, so. So there is a motion and a second to refer it to the voters. All those in favor?
Yes?
No.
No, you're not in favor of that?
Correct.
And I'm not in favor, so the motion does not pass. Entertain a motion in place of that?
I'll make a motion, we
I'll do it, but I would like to motion that we recommend the establishment of the, the local historic district.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion?
I, again, just want to say, unfortunately, we have a policy, and I believe the historic district is a great thing. I also don't live in the historic district, I don't have to live by the rules. My real wish is that that district could vote, and that be that, and let them make the decision for their own property. I'm hoping that maybe there'll be an amendment for an opt-out clause, which would allow residents, if they don't want to be part of the historic district, a period of time to opt out. But to throw away all the work that's been done and a step to preserve the town, which again, all three of us here over and over and over again, can't believe you let the market basket in, can't believe you let this in, can't believe you let that in. So when there are steps to be taken, you know, there's always gonna be some pros and cons. And like I said, there's already regulations on people's properties. Unfortunately, I think the voters vote for us to take a stand on items and lead them. Again, I think it's a great program. Again, I don't think it's necessarily put in the right, at this time, there's another district that really needs to be focused on that perhaps should have came first. But with that being said, I think the voters will ultimately make the decision, and as one of them, I think it's something that is great for the area.
Well, what I'd like to say, this is why I want to hear the whole thing out. I think it belongs an opt-out clause there, and it should be in there. And I'd like to see what they're going to do with the town meeting before I find out. I'm not against the concept, the whole thing. You know, I want to see, you know, these old houses preserved. But I will vote no on this thing there. I'd like to see the whole thing paraded out and all the facts.
And Eldon, I may very well actually vote no when it comes to the actual article. It depends what we've been presented may not be what it winds up being at the meeting, and maybe everybody will be in favor of it. You know, I've had a number of phone calls, people asking, they say that there is no opt-out option. It's not a law yet. Right now, it's a concept that the voters have to adopt. And it may not look like this when it's adopted. There could be an opt-out clause amended or adopted. Maybe we can get a copy of a bylaw from another town for the opt-out clause if somebody's interested. And that could be presented as an amendment.
All right, there was a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Marrero, no.
2-1. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next article. Article 2 is that the town transfer from free cash a sum of $120,000 to be expended by the Board of Selectmen to purchase a parcel of land consisting of 30,000 square feet in the northwest corner of lot 62, shows on Assessors Map 46, with a frontage on South Street, and to pay associated costs.
Motion to approve? Or
Second.
recommend, sorry.
Yep.
Moved in second to recommend. Any further discussion?
Well, the only thing I'm going to say, that's in our historical area over there, and I think this is well in keeping in with our historical area. You know, being the park, the canoe club, the whole area over there. The Keith House, there's the historical area in West Bridgewater.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Moving on to Article 3, would you like? to read that
This
one?
is to allocate up to $10,000 as a percentage grant of up to $100,000 for the construction of a dog park. And this is something I've been working on for quite a while, and I want to thank Mallory for all her help and a lot of support in town for it. And, you know, a lot of people say, why do we need a dog park? Well, there's a lot of things we provide in town that don't necessarily, we don't have to have. We have them for the convenience of the residents and as a little perk for the taxes they pay. And I think for a lifetime dog park with $90,000 in addition to the up to $10,000 coming to the town is a great thing. And we're not talking about $90,000 of taxpayer money. This is a private organization that could give the town up to $90,000, and if we don't get the grant, we don't build the park.
Any thoughts on where it would be located? Is there any-
We're still, or I'm still hopeful that it would be located just off the rail trail. There's a parcel of land behind St. Anne's Church. Right now, we have tentative plans. We've had discussions with St. Anne's. It's looking like they don't want to forfeit any land. It would be a long-term lease to the town. We're hoping to have some further discussion with them, but really, if we don't get the money, there's no need in wasting time, the
Yeah, no, I was
town
just
time and everything. But,
curious.
right now, my heart's set on that location. It's a
Land.
beautiful parcel. It's convenient, so people can use the rail trail and the dog park. There's already a parking lot there, and it's just, all in all, a perfect location.
I just was curious if, if it was passed.
If it does pass and we
further
can't get that
plans.
location, other locations are being looked
Okay.
into, and between the assessors and the Conservation Commission, Conservation Agent, we'll find another location.
Okay,
And I would like to recommend that we recommend this unanimously.
okay, there's a motion to recommend.
Second?
Moved second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right, the next article is Article 4, Selectman Moreira, you're going to be presenting that?
Yes, this article, it's long come, it's East Street and 106. We've had a fatality in that intersection. We've got other intersections that we'd like to have lights on. And lights today, they used to cost like $100,000, now it's up to $350. Now we just spent $2.5 million in the center of town here. This is a lot like what happened up on 106 and Manley Street there, where at that time, we went to the Business Association, the seed money. So if we can get some money down and pay the engineering, and I'm on that committee with the Old Colony Planning Council to move these projects ahead. The waiting period is about 5 years to get anything done. And we like to get this thing started. It's the seed money to put lights at 106 and East Street.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
Make a motion that we move with this.
Second?
Okay. Moved and second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, Article 6.
5.
Did I miss one? Yeah, Article 5, I'm sorry. Second lines.
Madam Chair, as we take great efforts to improve our north side of town along Main Street, this is our area abutting Brockton, well known as the old Shaw's Plaza. That's pretty empty, and a lot of vacancies there. There's limited steps the town can do. We don't have quite the tools available to us that a city has, and one step that I feel could really help revamp that area would be to provide 2 additional liquor licenses. Right now, we're maxed out on our capacity. Liquor licenses are based on your population. This would allow for one full-service sit-down restaurant to be constructed in that area, along with one liquor store. And my hopes are we get the tax money, and we have a big pull from the city for some customers for that area. In doing so, that's going to help lure an anchor store to that plaza. We all know my hopes of bringing a Target, but anything there would be great for the town.
No, I think it's a good idea, Jerry. Try to enhance that area, because it just seems to be losing footage, and now, I heard of yesterday, CVS is moving up in the corner of Clifton Avenue and Keith Avenue, and there's another business down there now that's moving out of that area. And there ain't gonna be too much left there if we don't start trying to build that thing up.
I'll make a motion that the board recommend unanimously.
I'll second it.
Moved second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. So that was 5, so 6.
Yeah, and Madam Chairwoman, just to let you know, Articles 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all water articles.
Correct.
6, 7, 8 will not be moved at town meeting. That's why they all say pass without action. The water commissioners will not be moving those.
Oh, okay. And Article 10, they will be
So
moving.
Article 9, they will be moving. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Article 9, they will be moving.
Okay, and 10.
9, and then 10 is the town moderator.
Okay, oh, all right. Okay, so Article 9, to, so the town transfer of $220,000 previously appropriated under Article 32 of the warrant of the annual town meeting on June 9th, 2014, which was the sum initially authorized to paint, there's a typo there, the 5 million gallon water tank located at Spring Street be reallocated to pay costs of the painting of the Sunset Ave tank as permitted by the provisions of Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws. So, the water commissioners or Hugh Hurley would be moving this for action.
That is correct, and just for full transparency, originally, they were taking that $220,000 or so, and they were gonna spread it out over 4 articles. After speaking to bond counsel, because this money was originally borrowed, we can't use it for the purposes of those other articles. We desperately need to paint that other tank, so what they want to do is take the full amount, move it over. We're not sure how much it will cost us, but at least that way, they'll have the funds available. And again, since it was asked originally at the beginning of the meeting, the Finance Committee saw a number of $100,000 in that line, because that was prior to us actually receiving bond counsel review. And they had voted on the other articles, which are not going to be moved. But at the end of the day, it's all the same money.
Entertain a motion
Motion to approve,
to recommend.
to recommend, yeah.
Second?
Move to second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's unanimous as well. And then the last article, Article 10, is that the town amend Article 3 of the general laws by adding Section 15 as printed on the warrant. So this involves the use of electronic visual aids at town meetings that will be allowed at the discretion of the moderator under the following guidelines.
Motion to recommend the article.
Second?
Move in second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So that's all the warrants on the town, for the special town meeting, which will take place tomorrow night at 7 PM at the new middle senior high school auditorium. Exciting, our first town meeting in the new school, so it's very exciting. It's good. Okay, all right, so we're gonna move on to strategic planning. So strategic planning, we have already established, our goals, which we've talked about. We have established some of the members and the team leaders, so we have a new team leader that just joined today.
Hot off the presses.
Wow.
He
That's
saw
cool.
our stuff on the website and called yesterday afternoon. So I called him back this morning, and he just moved to town, lives on Spring Street, and he was
Cool.
super nice, and
Cool,
I told him Wes is best.
there you go.
He already thinks so.
There you
Good
go.
idea.
Someplace. I've heard it before too. It's
And
good.
he's agreed to take that one on, and I've given him some contacts to help him work on
Okay.
that goal, because being new to town, I think he would have a little bit of an uphill battle
Right,
with the master plan.
right. Great. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just so that we can, make it, reiterate it again. So I'm gonna go through the goals. We have team leaders for each one of the goals, and we have potential members. I'm not gonna go through the members so much, but I will go through the goals and who the team leaders are. What the next step in this process is, at our November 4th meeting, we're gonna ask that the team leaders provide us with some type of an update. The expectation is that we're not gonna have the goals, and we're gonna have, achievement of goals between now and then. But at least an update of where do you stand, you've got your members, you're moving in, what kind of direction you move, the progress. So you can show us what kind of progress it has happened in the strategic planning. So the first goal is to update the master plan, and James Carras Jr. Is the team leader for that group. The second one is branding of West Bridgewater, and Administrator Dave Gagney is the leader for that group. The third is sidewalks, trails, pedestrian crossings, And there are dual leaders, Jerry Lawrence and Reverend Carol Ashton. The fourth one is intermunicipal sewer agreement, and John Duggan is the team leader in that goal. And the last one is update open space and recreation plans, and we have dual leaders in that, and that's Jeff Ryan and Forrest Brown. So that's where we stand in our strategic planning process. So we're moving along, which is exciting, as we move toward planning for our future. So, and we have a few of our future sitting right here, so, good, ties all together.
Madam Chair, would it be out of line to
Yeah.
ask the young gentlemen to introduce
Yeah,
themselves?
Yeah, I was gonna go through that, yeah. But I just, all right, I was gonna put it down here for a little bit. Anyway, so I just alluded to the fact that we have some of our future members of our town sitting here with us this evening. So the Boy Scouts of Troop 1830 are here with us this evening. And so are you the troop leader?
Assistant,
Assistant? You got a troop leader here, or assistant, or whatever?
assistant, the leader couldn't make it.
Okay, so
Second boss.
would you like to talk to us about your visit here and the purpose?
They're actually working on their citizenship badge, and this is a requirement that they attend the town meeting, and you were conveniently having one. So, I believe the actual scoutmaster arranged for us to come here, but I'm not
Yes,
positive.
yes, that's
So
true.
that's why we're here, but, I think a few of them are interested in what's actually going on. There's a lot of money has been,
Yeah.
has been thrown around here tonight, so I don't know if they realize that or not. It's, and I don't know if they really realize what selectmen do, and now they're gonna have a really good idea by the time they get out of here.
That's what the public will tell you. They'll tell you we don't know what we're doing.
Wow, okay, so could we just take a minute and have each of the scouts just, stand up and tell us your name and where you live? How's that? Just the town that you live in, because we have people that are not West Bridgewater here, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay, so just tell us your name and what town you live in. We'll start with you down there in the red. Here we go.
I'm Willie Ames, and I'm from Easton.
From Easton. Welcome.
I'm Reverend Kelly and I'm from West Bridgewater.
Welcome.
Future voter there.
There we go, right there.
I'm Chloe Spashis, I'm from Rainham.
Rainham. Welcome.
I'm Zachary French, I'm from Braintree.
Raintree.
Ooh.
You guys come with distance, huh?
Ryan
Welcome.
Gomes, I'm from Brockton.
Brockton. Thank you, welcome.
I'm Benji Felix, and I'm from Brockton as well.
Welcome.
I'm Scotty Michelle, I'm from Brockton as
Welcome.
I'm Olivia Lopes, I'm from Brockton.
Welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
All right, good, so we got a real cross-section here. So, let me ask you this, is that how the Boy Scout troops are, they're not necessarily town?
Well, ours is because it's a church-run troop, so they're in our district, our church district. So
Oh,
they
I
all-
see.
they all go.
And what church is that, sir?
Latter-day Saints on Manley Street.
Okay.
Church of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, okay, so that's how that configuration is, because I know, Mr. Curry is here, and he was involved in the scouts here in town, so that's a different troop.
Yeah,
Different kind of
it's a different
configuration?
troop, but they're very active in the same council. Actually, our troop, Troop 25 of West Bridgewater, attended many meetings that they were gracious enough to host, because they have a
Oh.
fantastic facility up there.
And
Oh,
so-
nice.
Yeah, and, so you're all calling council as well, right?
I believe so.
Squanto District.
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah,
you
we go to
guys-
Squanto a lot in the
Yeah.
summertime.
There you go.
We've actually done projects here in town too,
Right,
at
right.
at your park.
Yep,
We
yep.
built some footbridges and stuff there a few years ago.
Oh, good. That's good. Great.
Nancy,
great.
from what I understand, their first bit of action was to research the best possible town to come visit
Oh, yeah.
the governing body,
And West is
and
best.
you've all concluded that West Bridgewater is the place to visit, so it's outstanding.
Right,
Well, you see how we don't always agree, but we come out with the answers here, try to get everything out and the facts to the voters here, and so when they get ready to vote, they know what they're voting for.
For those of you from Brockton, if you don't know Eldon, he's Mr. Campello. He's owned a barber shop in the city for, how long, Eldon?
Oh, God, forever.
Forever.
My father was there in Campbell for, well, way back, probably at that location for about probably 75 years.
So Eldon and his family just as well known in Brockton as he is in West Bridgewater.
Yeah, I'm very involved with the Campbell Business Association and everything that's going on up there, too. And, you know, it's Old Colony Planning Council and the Bat Bus Committee, so I'm a busy man.
Bad bus.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so moving back to the agenda, update on lighting of the monument in the center of town, Selectman Lawrence or Mr. Gagnon, I don't know which
Well,
one. wants
As
to
you're
go
aware,
first?
we're doing a small construction project in the center of town. And,
Small
we have-
construction, yeah.
Really?
Real quick project, you maybe not even noticed.
Yeah.
But it's it may be mimicked right in front of Town Hall, if you notice, the Scarecrow contest
Yes,
entry.
yeah, that's good.
Great job, by the way. But as you know, we have a very historic landmark in the center of town. It's the War Monument. And some residents have brought up that it would be nice if, as part of the project, we could have that illuminated, as a lot of towns do, and as a salute and as an honorary thing to our veterans. And we've been working on some possibilities of get that monument lit. And Chris Iannatelli's working on it along with the office staff, and Mallory's been doing some research for us. But it's also come to my attention, if you're not aware, during the construction project, the island's getting a lot bigger where the monument is, so we have an opportunity to dress that area up. I do have some current concerns with the irrigation system. Has been dug up quite a bit, and as we expand that island, we need to make sure that that's fixed, but we'd like to work it all together with trying to get the monument lit. And I know David's done a little research, he's gone out on site, and I think we need a little assistance from the project manager there to assure that that island and area is gonna be brought back to how nice the Forestry and Parks Department had it. But do you have any ideas, David, or any input?
Yeah, no, thank you, Selectman Lawrence. I did. I went up, I visited the site, I walked it earlier today. There's no doubt that some of the irrigation system has been pulled up. You're also right, the park is going to add probably about 7 or 8 feet all the way around. So with that said, I think the right thing to do, based on the fact that there are a handful of residents and this board has championed in the past about lighting that monument, is that I can reach out to Mass DOT and I can ask them, since the ground is already torn up, as to whether or not we can extend the irrigation lines. We can also add some lighting. We probably aren't going to have to pay for any of the upgrades. So for example, if you want lighting, maybe we donate the lighting and they do all the labor work. So I just wanted to make sure that would be acceptable to the board, and if so, then I'll implement from there.
I believe, Eldon,
Yeah, I'm on that committee, and I know you got one vote anyhow.
Yeah.
I think they sort of owe us. I mean, let's face it, I mean, they put these people in this community, you know, and it's taken so long to do that, and we still got another year to go. You know, yeah, I think we should ask the committee, and, hey, the only thing they can do is say no, you know, I mean, or say yes, which we're looking for there, and,
I do
they're
recall
sitting
when
out of
they
that
came in, Eldon, they had
$2.5
told us-
million of that thing. There must be something there for left
I do
over, I
recall
hope.
they told us when they came in that the extras, if we wanted to buy anything special, they would do the installation.
Yeah,
Such as uplighting, or if we wanted to buy pole lighting or whatever, that they'd
Yeah.
install it, so I hope maybe they'll stick to their word and install the lights for us. If not,
Okay.
we need to come up with a plan B, because I think it's important that monument and flagpole, monument be lit and the flagpole remain lit. And that really has to stand as a salute to those soldiers, and make sure that that island is returned to its glory.
I agree.
Make a motion, we ask the town administrator to work with the project manager to accomplish lighting the monument.
Second.
Move second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
And again, all I would ask is that if we do have to buy some of the materials, the board is acceptable to that, if I can get them to do the labor at no charge to the town.
Thank you. All right, moving on to communication and reports from boards, commissions, and town officials. So we have a site plan review for Clean Energy Collective. Applicant is seeking a site plan review for the planning board to construct and operate a 980 kilowatt photovoltaic ground-mounted solar array, solar farm, at 586 Manley Street, and it is located in the town's industrial district. So,
Is that the Spadea property, or?
Yeah, I believe it is. It's actually just past the church down on Manley Street on the left-hand side. It's about 46 acres. It's currently for sale, but it looks like they would be putting this place on it instead. And again, it matches all zoning bylaws. It is by right as long as it's within compliance of the laws.
okay.
I do have,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a concern. I know this is by right and this is where we've zoned it, but if we have solar fields go in and take up all our industrial area, eventually, perhaps they're gonna get tax-free status. And we're really gonna lose out on the possibility of developing our industrial area. Because these solar fields will be taking up the space that's allocated for industry, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. I know we have to have them, but that's really the area as we build any commercial property. Obviously, we'd like to keep it all in the industrial area. I'm just afraid that they're gonna swarm there and continue to take up the land, and if and when the legislators decide that green energy is tax-free, which it's been close a few times, we're really gonna be out. And we don't want, that type of growth in town. We like our town being small. We don't want them looking elsewhere in, in the rural areas. So just a concern, that's something we need to take into consideration. This is the second or third one being proposed for that area, and it's eating up viable ground.
Yeah, it's prime area. In fact, we were negotiating with him on that piece of property there for the outfit Cisco that went to Plimpton. And just at the last minute, all of a sudden, I think it was around $1 million, and then he raised the price of another $1 million, and of course, that was a no-no with that, and we lost a very, very good opportunity of getting a very viable. No, I agree with you 100%. That's kind of prime property up there too, and it's in the center of our industrial area. But like I said, you think about things when we zone, but you can't think of everything, you know. Now all of a sudden these solar panels, those are the things that they're looking for, and the only thing is we have so much real swampland in this town too, and why don't they put them in instead of on real buildable piece of property? You know, that's where I have a problem with.
Unfortunately, that's not what we're gonna discuss tonight.
No, I know,
because
I know.
Bring that up for further discussion.
Right, we're just talking
Yeah.
about whether we're gonna pass it to the,
Motion to pass on.
All right, second.
move second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moving on to the announcement from Beth Smith for the new library director. The library board of trustees, they sent us correspondence that they met on Tuesday, October 13th, and they officially announced that they made a decision on the new library director. That individual is Ellen Snowinbos.
Snowy and Boss, close, good
Oh.
job, yeah.
Oh, you got that name good, huh? How did you figure that one out, huh?
She is due to begin on Monday, December 14th.
Maybe I'd like to acknowledge her with a letter of welcome to the town of West Bridgewater.
Okay.
Second.
All right, move second, all those in favor?
All right, all right.
That's unanimous.
Could we also send a correspondence to the library trustees, asking if there's anything we can assist with, any type of celebration of Beth's retirement?
Oh,
Anything
that's a
they may
good
have
idea.
planned,
That's a good idea.
Okay, second?
just that we be included.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, move second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Good idea. Next on the agenda is act on a request from Water Department laborer to carry over vacation time. We have correspondence from a laborer who would like to carry over 4 extra days.
Motion approved.
Second.
Move second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Correspondence from the public to determine a course of action. Act on a one-day liquor and entertainment license from St. Anne's Church for November 10th from, I think that's the typo there, I think it's 6 PM to 11 PM. That'd be a long day.
6
I'll be
a.m.
there. The first time I've seen you in St. Anne's in a long time.
6 p.m., that's a long day, huh?
That's all good, Cana.
All right, I'll move to grant.
Okay, it's right on the license, so.
Eldon, can that be stipulation that they approve the dog park?
Yeah, you know, blackmail them, huh?
Blackmail. Right. Okay, so moved,
Second.
seconded. Any further discussion?
I would like to amend that by asking to waive the fee.
I was gonna ask
No,
that.
okay, yeah, I'll
Okay,
include that in the
with-
motion.
With a waiver of the fee. Moved and seconded, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we have an application. Nope, that's it. Let's see, there's, one-day entertainment. Okay, moving on to the public comment.
yeah, now we gotta hear from you over there, public comments, what do we do? Are we
So-
doing all right or what?
So anybody in the public that would like to comment?
Mr. Curry, you got any,
All right.
Would this be the first time I didn't have anything to say?
yeah, it would be,
Yeah.
where we can improve, or whatever, you know?
Pleasure to be here. It's happy to see some scouts here as well.
Yeah, that's nice,
Yeah.
nice,
Oh, he's got his hand up.
good. Go ahead, sir.
Have you guys thought of filling in this one plan so you would have more places to build or no?
Filling in what?
You guys said you had a lot of swan plan.
Yes, we do, yeah.
Couldn't you fill that in to build more stuff on it?
That's an idea.
Unfortunately, a town and a city work on two totally different governing bodies, if you will, when it comes to
Question.
wetlands, where towns have much stricter, what's called no-touch zones. You can't even work within 50 feet of even going near the wetlands, even if it's on private property. If you were to buy a house and the backyard has swamp on it, it would be against the law for you to even fill that, or in some cases, even mow the lawn in that area. And that's a state and federal laws.
That's a good question, though.
Yes. It has been done years ago. I think Route
Yeah.
138 was built on swampland, and I think some of Manley Street was built on
Yeah.
swampland, but since then, the Environmental Protection Act has been implemented, and those things are highly frowned upon. And there is something called wetlands replication, where you are allowed to disrupt the wetlands to a certain point, but then somewhere else, you need to replicate what you disturbed.
Yeah.
And there's some federal guidelines too, what you do too.
There's
It's
all
on,
kinds of-
I thought of it because of, I was looking at a map of, Boston,
Mhm.
of like, back in like, when we first came here on that, how it was mostly like swamplands and stuff, and
Mm.
had a lot of ponds and stuff like that, and now how there isn't much of that anymore, so obviously somebody must have filled them in to build on it, so.
Good question.
Good- Yeah, that's a good question.
I think there's a merit badge for that as well. They would dig in further.
Filling in swamplands?
No,
Oh, okay, I'm just teasing.
Environmental.
environmental, yeah.
Swamplands. Sir?
I was wondering if you were gonna build sidewalks on East Street, because I live on that street and I think it might be okay because there's a couple kids that I know that live on the street and on my bus stop there's another kid that gets off on the same street and he has to cross like the railroad track to get to his house.
Right. Okay, so about that, thank you for bringing that up. One of our strategic plans is, goals in our strategic planning process is sidewalks, trails, pedestrian crossings. So the answer to that question is, I would suspect that we're gonna evaluate that and look into that, investigate that. So, you know, I'm not saying whether we're gonna do it or not, because it's really not up to us in those circumstances, but it's definitely gonna be something that's gonna be evaluated and investigated.
He'll have an opportunity, if he pays attention to one of the meetings, how you can go and
Right.
voice your
That's
opinion
right.
at one of the meetings.
Right.
That's one of the great things about the process.
And Selectman Lawrence and Reverend Ashton are the leaders of that goal, so you might wanna give him one of your cards or something.
You know, a few years back, Reverend
Give
Ashton,
your information.
Reverend Ashton at the First Church, along with a youth group, came to the selectmen about sidewalks, and that's kind of how the whole
Right.
strategic plan stems. So that's something that church and that church group would be very involved in, and you're more than welcome to join us when we start meeting.
Yeah, so after the meeting, maybe you give your information to Selectman Lawrence so that he can keep you in the loop on that.
Thank you.
Good question. Anybody else in the public that would like to comment?
Nothing about casinos or power plants, please. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
deal with
really,
that.
yeah, right. So, okay, moving on to the town administrator's report. Administrator Kemp?
Thank you, Chairwoman Maloney. As you know, state law is, since education reform passed in the early 90s, is that we have to do a formula from the town as to whether or not we are supporting our local school system at or above the level that we're required to. You'll see that on page 34 of your packet that I have put together a handful of spreadsheets. And on page 34, you will see that this is the formula that the state requests us to fill out. In the areas that do not involve education, are we supporting the school? So for example, do we have a town accountant, a town treasurer, healthcare services, all of those types of services that are there to augment what the schools actually do? And you'll see from this sheet here that the town has spent over this past fiscal year a net of about $121,000 or 2.8% increase year over year. The total amount spent was about $4.5 million. Page 2 will show how much we actually spent, page 35, the next page of the document, how much we actually spent in comparison to what the state requires us to spend. You'll see in the bottom right-hand corner where it says FY 2016 NSS minimum, which is net school spending minimum. The state requires us to spend a minimum of $9.881 million, and this town actually approved $12.6 million, $2.7 million more than the minimum the state would say that we need to spend, which is 32% above. There's a couple of other handouts after that to be able to show how we get to the analysis, but at the end of the day, the question is posed, does the town of West Bridgewater adequately support its educational system? Based on the numbers, it's a resounding yes, and I think it's also indicative of the fact that we have about a 99% graduation rate, one of the highest MCAS scores in the state. They do an excellent job, but they also get the resources from the town, and so that's what this report actually illustrates.
Good,
Very good.
Did you put this together?
I did.
Very good. I like it.
Thank you. Page 39 of your handout. I'm sorry?
I like the graphs.
Page 39 of the handout. I'll tell you, it's very interesting to see when we have a change of administration that the differences between one administration to another. Governor Baker, as you know, is our fairly newly elected governor, and one of the things that he's decided to do is be able to engage municipalities at a different level that have been engaged at before. Prior to, there would be a local advisory committee, still exists, but then you would have to filter out through those handful of people and hope and pray, or whatever other term you want to use, that information then gets bumped up to the appropriate administrators at the state level. In this case here, what they have done is they have created 6 or 7 meetings that are going to go out throughout the entire state, where the Baker officials will be there, and they will listen directly from municipal leaders on regulation concerns. Now, that's the key term. We always want more money. We could always use more money, and there will be certainly enough debate on that issue during budget season. But this is in reference to regulations that we deem that's probably a little bit too, that thwart our ability on a local level to be able to engage in the way we did. So on November 2nd, the next closest meeting, which is actually held in Shrewsbury, I'm going to attend on behalf of West Bridgewater. I am asking the board as to what policy issues, regulatory related, you would like me to bring forward. One of my concerns, because we have had this conversation in the past, is the Board of Selectmen are incapable of using performance evaluations as part of their contract negotiations, due not to state law, but to a 30-year interpretation of state law by the Attorney General's office. I think with this governor, who is really big into performance management and management metrics, I think that we have an opportunity that if we want to present that he may, that administration may see the value as to why performance evaluations could be a useful tool during contract negotiations that you could do in executive session. So that's one area that I would like to bring up, but at the end of the day, you're the policy board, so I would like to see if, one, is that an area that you would like me to discuss? And then two, what other areas, if any, in reference to regulations that you would like me to bring forward as well? And the last is, I know it's a Monday, it's during the day, it's difficult for all three, but in case anybody wanted to join me, you know, I was making sure that you were aware of that meeting as well.
What's the date on it again?
November 2nd, it's a Monday morning. I'm sorry, it's a Monday afternoon. It's 1 to 3 in the afternoon.
So I have a question about, or maybe it's not covered under that, but, so regulations, so the regional school district formula, is that something that's regulated, or?
It is. They do have, it's an area of concern because they're already taking a look at that formula, because that formula at this point is 22 years old.
Right,
And as you could see earlier, we are well in excess of that number.
right.
And one of the other items that didn't exist then that exists now are these things.
Right.
And there's so much more technology, there's much more expense, and there's really not a fit for that as part of the formula per se. So they're actually taking a look at that, but by all means, if that is something that we want to address, I could certainly include it in the notes and certainly make that presentation as well.
I mean, we tried before, I remember, like, it was when I first got on the Board of Selectmen, I think. We had a representative from, I don't know who they were from, but, and we had a meeting, and I think that Selectman Barrera was over there as well. We had a meeting over at Southeastern, and they tried to explain to us how this formula works. And, yeah, it was kind of confusing, but, you know, but we were kind of pretty much told that we really had no control over it. So maybe if it's brought up in that, you know, meeting, we can get some kind of movement in some kind of direction about that, because it does appear as though we are at a disadvantage with that formula.
Sure.
David, speaking of technology, one of the things we've asked our state representative in prior years was the antiquated system of having to publish so much in the enterprise, paid postings for public hearings. In fact, I think one time the fee would have been so astronomical that we just decided we wouldn't even go forward with a proposed bylaw, because the law pertaining to, I think it was licensing of Hackney drivers or Hackney licenses, required us to publish the entire bylaw in the newspaper. And that would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars to publish that. And in fact, as the costs go up to advertise in the printed papers, the readership goes down. And presenting technology requirements rather than print ad requirements is something that I think could help a lot of municipalities.
Anything to add, something, Maria?
Oh, not this time.
All right, good, thank you.
You know, I hear like politicians are running for office, you know, we get questions that come on ballots and, you know, and the whole state will vote. I'm referring to that gas tax there, and all of a sudden, and people will stand up and they represent us and vote for that gas tax. You know, I can't see it. It seems to be a tax and spend type of thing, you know what I mean? And they're not really listening to the people, and especially when it comes on a ballot vote and a direction is given by the people. They don't follow the directions.
Thank you. Next on my agenda is an update on townwide construction projects. As alluded to earlier, we do have a eeny-beeny little tiny project going on in the center of town that we did all notice. And so the latest update is this, is that the traffic is really drastically improved through the center of town up until today.
Oh, well, I'm just going to say that.
No kidding.
But the positive is that the idea of what that center of town was supposed to do, without it already at its completion, has already started to move in that direction. I go down there a couple of times a week. I'll watch the traffic. We'll sit out here and we'll watch it through the windows. And the traffic has certainly been mitigated when all of those lanes are open. Please keep in mind that all the lanes still won't be open until spring. So as good as it was when some of the lanes were open, it will get even better when the full project is done. However, in the meantime, today, tomorrow, and Friday, assuming that the job gets done over those 3 days, they are milling and paving the connection points. So where the center of town meets Route 28, for example, they're coming up 300 feet in every direction, milling it and making a new connection point with the paving. So that's what's slowing the traffic down. The nice thing is that assuming it only takes 3 days, next week they will move on to the next phase, which is really just working on the sidewalks, working on the parking, where the driveways are meeting up with the road. And again, I think that you'll see that traffic will begin to flow much better as it did over this past week. The last item is that once they're done those sidewalks, which they think that they'll be done by early to mid-November, is that they will then be able to activate what they're calling a smart loop. That smart loop is actually being installed underneath the roadways, a couple of 100 feet up from the intersection. So as more traffic comes in one direction versus another, the lights will automatically learn to signalize a longer green light from that area and a longer red light from the other where there's nobody sitting there. So the attempt is to be able to allow where heavier traffic is to continuously flow. And a great example of that is that, I'm surprised at this, but at 5:15 in the morning, apparently coming from 106 on the East Bridgewater side, there is a lengthy line of traffic that sits out there and literally no other traffic at any of the other lights. And yet those residents right now have to sit and wait their entire time cycle watching no other cars go through the intersection. As that smart loop gets activated, that issue will go away. Right? But again, we're making progress. The next couple of weeks after this milling period, you'll see some minor construction out there. If everything goes well, they'll shut down for the winter. They'll come back in the spring. They'll put their top coat. They'll be able to remove those poles. They'll finish their landscaping, and they'll actually be done the project. If we have a mild winter, they're actually going to work through the winter. Obviously, that's going to be weather-related.
Mild like last year?
Yes, yes. The other project that we have on Route 106 right now is we have Columbia Gas that's laying down a gas line. We've done everything that we can, and I'll give you a couple of examples, but we've done everything we can to try to minimize the impact on residents to the best of our ability. That gas line is being installed in one long shot with all the tie-ins going across the street. Because Eldon, you know, Selectman Marrero, you know this better than anyone, is that last year, every other day, we had another request from a resident, I want gas. Oil prices were going up at the time. They've dropped since, but they were going up at the time. We all know electric rates vastly increased last winter. And so a lot of people were trying to transition to gas, and they didn't have gas on their street. And if they did have it on the street, they didn't have a tie-in ability. So Columbia Gas being proactive has said, let's bring it right down the duration of that area in 106 and proactively put all the tie-ins so that way if somebody at a later date actually wants to activate the gas line, we don't have to disrupt anyone and we don't have to piecemeal it. The negative to that is it becomes a month-long project as opposed to a series of 3-day projects. But after this 1 month, it's over. So with that said, because of the traffic congestion at the center of town, we didn't think that it was appropriate to continue to have the rest of 106 closed because now you've got 30,000 cars a day that would have to navigate around that project and navigate around the center of town project. So we moved it to nights. We moved it to a 4-day, 10-hour shift. They've been going along pretty well. Unfortunately, they had to route some of the traffic down Prospect Street. Next week, we're at the point that we're actually going to be able to keep one lane open. And so therefore, even though they will be out there actually 5 nights as opposed to 4, they're going to be able to keep one lane open, so that way we'll have much less traffic coming through Prospect Street than we did in the past. And we have calculated there's about 3 times as much traffic coming from the Route 24 side than there is from the center of town side. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow the traffic coming from Route 24 to stay on Route 106. And that way there'll be even less traffic progressing onto Prospect Street. So we are making every single attempt. We've had a handful of residents reach out to us. We have communicated with them, and even though nobody's ever happy, the reality is that they understand that we have done everything, and I think that they've been happy with the fact that we provide the feedback. Now, unfortunately, part of progress is construction, but I think we'll all be happy with the results at the end. And the last one is it's an update on Matfield Street. We all know the history of that street. What we have done is that over the last handful of days, we have prepped it. We've made our cuts. I drove up today from Norman Ave to Sandy Hill. We've actually already added about our 2 to 2.5 feet shoulder on it. Tomorrow they will hopefully finish the road, but it may take one additional day. But by the end of Friday, that road will be back to its original width. They'll still have to have some prep work, and they'll have to do a few other little things, but by early next week, we should be back to the original width of that road. And then remember, in the spring, we will repave it, and when we repave it, then we will reline it as well. And the last item on the agenda is a community compact. Again, this is part of the Governor Baker administration, and would you like to speak to it, Chairwoman Maloney?
Well, it was something that came up with one of the Mass Selectmen's Association conferences that I went to a couple weekends ago on at Lake Pearl, and it came, Lieutenant Governor Lito was there, and she talked about the compact process. So that's why I suggested that maybe we take a look at the possibility of maybe getting involved in that. And we talked about different areas. I specifically was thinking maybe it would be something that we could use to help us with we talk about our issue with sewer and not having sewer in our industrially zoned Manley Street. And, maybe we could use some of the best practices or use the compact, set up by the state through the governor and the lieutenant governor as a way to maybe get some help and relief in that, so.
Yep. So the process is that there are about 7 major themes.
Right.
Then there are subdivisions of those themes. Unfortunately, the sewer doesn't neatly fit in one, but we can try to fit it.
Right.
So the process is as follows, is that I could fill out an application on behalf of the board. They ask for what area of concerns that we have, and if it is the board's desire, then I would put in the need for technical assistance for sewer. Then that information will be forwarded to the state. I can tell you about 120 applications, or roughly about 1/3 of all communities in the state have filled out the applications. 28 have been approved. Surprisingly, it's actually a little bit of a long and also pretty laborious approval process. Some towns have actually not been approved. And so they really selectively look at it. Once approved, in the past, what has happened is that Lieutenant Governor Polito has actually come and joined the Chief Executive Officer, in this case the Board of Selectmen, sign it all together. And that compact community agreement will indicate over the next 2 years what will the town do and what will the state provide. And I assume that there would be milestones built into that, but we won't know until we see the final agreement that they're willing to sign. And so that would be part of the process, and if this is what the board would like to do, then I will fill out that application and forward it on behalf of the board.
So I don't know, we talked about, I gave you guys the website at our last meeting. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to go into the website and look at some of the possibilities. If maybe we can go through, I'm thinking it's something we could maybe help us with the sewer, but there may be other initiatives that you guys think would be worthwhile. So I don't know if you guys have gone through that to see what the availability is.
David, you mentioned the funding on that. How much money is appropriated in that funding there to accommodate all these communities?
Yeah. I was at a Municipal Managers Association meeting last week. It was communicated to me that the Baker administration has set aside $2.5 million. Now, when you divide that by 351 cities or towns, it's a little over $7,000 a town. Not a lot of money. However, the second aspect to what the state is willing to do is to offer technical expertise. And since they would already have the persons or people in place doing those respective jobs, there wouldn't be a need for additional funds. It would be more, let me help you with how to do this. Maybe there's a grant that we can help you to apply for, those types of things. So that is the amount of money that is there, but also there would be the technical expertise segment that might be more conducive, because $7,000 is not going to help us build a sewer system.
Well, at least it's a start to move the thing along, and,
So do you guys, would you like to go through the
the procedure.
well, I mean, I'm suggesting sewer, but there may be other initiatives that maybe you guys think are worthy to
What?
try to pursue.
I think going back to Manley Street, the priority has been for a long time to get that street done with sewer, and the more we water down our priorities, the less likely it is that the one that we want, and that we think is a top priority, will be picked.
The only thing is though, was when I went into the website, what I found, and I looked at what other towns had done, they didn't just choose one, best practice is what they call it.
Yeah,
So I think that if we select more than one, we have more of a chance. Yeah, I understand that we wanna prioritize, but I'm just thinking that if we have more than one best practice that we'll have more of a chance of getting approval.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I think the terminology is a little bit misleading because it asks you to pick a best practice, but it's really an area of help. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
Meaning it's not only a best practice for the town, we want it to become a best practice for the town. But you're
Right.
absolutely right. Most of the other applications have requested assistance on more than one area.
More than one, right, so that's why I think we really should,
Well, that sidewalk,
What I had
they were brought up by
suggested-
that gentleman over there tonight there, that's been a long thing. And he brought up East Street, but we've had that, Howard Street, South Street, and one of the facts is West Bridgewater, the streets are very, very narrow. And you get trucks running those streets, even, like I know Matfield has a certain amount of sidewalks on it, but, there's a need, a real need to start getting sidewalks on these streets, even if we get started, you know?
so, do you guys mind if we go through, so I brought it up here, just so we can take a look at what the possibilities are? I was thinking maybe we went, could put it up on the board or something, but I don't know if we have time to do that. So there are different initiatives, there are some that involve education, energy and environment, financial management, housing and economic development, which is where I kind of was thinking maybe we might want to go for our desire to do something about the north side, North Main Street, in that area up there. Information technology, sorry, regionalization, shared services, transportation, and citizen safety. So, I mean, I don't know, do we wanna put this on the agenda maybe of the next meeting so that we can have
Pick a priority list.
Yeah, I think we should,
we get more, so it's not just me saying, oh, I think we need sewer, we need whatever.
yeah,
How do
right.
we
It's
fall
more
in
of a
together?
group thing. Yeah, they do, but
Sidewalks, public
the
safety,
things
and then
that-
economic development, and, target areas,
But
and
the
I'm
problem
even
is
thinking a
there's
regional
nothing
planner.
that really, so like under housing and economic development, prepared for success, housing infrastructure, maybe that's where it is, infrastructure, competitive job creation, and so maybe we say infrastructure, that's something that we need help with. I just think we need to choose more than one thing and see if we can get some support. So.
Yeah.
So
Always
we-
have our handouts, so whatever
Right.
we can get.
I mean, that was the idea, so
Whatever
maybe we
avenue.
can put on the agenda for next meeting, and we'll put it up on the board so that we can all see it. But if you wanna, in the meantime, if you wanna go in, it's mass.gov/CCC. And you can go in and you can look at what the compact program is like. Okay,
And that is the end of my report.
okay. Any further items for discussion? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Move second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.